Howdy, everybody. Fixing to go live here on the Football Diehards YouTube channel. I know we're already out on Periscope, so hi, how are you? Thanks for coming by. Appreciate you showing up and taking a little time. We'll get to your questions, cover a little news, do all the kind of things you want. I'm going to wait for the YouTube audience to get here, or at least be able to get here. And we are live on the YouTube, so let me address the chat. And we'll get rolling here, and retweet all my stuff and take care of my business and housekeeping before we get going. Hope everyone's having a great week. Yes, these are unusual times, as we all know, and there are schedule changes this week. Let's get it. Set up the chat here. As you've probably already realized, or if you're just showing up here and weren't sure, the Patriots-Broncos game has been moved to Monday, early evening window, kind of like last week. We'll have a doubleheader. It'll be the Broncos and Patriots followed by the Chargers at Saints as previously scheduled, that later game. Tuesday night, we'll have the Bills and Titans. As of Saturday morning, everyone was clean on the testing. There were no positives or no new positives. It's possible Cam Newton could still play Monday night. Slightly possible Stephon Gilmore. Neither of them practiced today. The Bills released their injury report for Tuesday. John Brown is questionable. Zach Moss is questionable, but it looks like everyone will be on board. The Titans will have players already out. Corey Davis, Michael Pruitt, and Adam Humphries all on the reserve COVID list of the skill players. So they'll be out. A.J. Brown could return for that game as well. Happy to take your questions. Thank you for showing up. This is something we'll be doing every week, every Saturday at this time, 4 p.m. Eastern time. I'll take questions in the chat on the YouTube channel, and hit the subscribe button on the YouTube channel and the notification bell if it allows you. And also, if you're watching on Periscope, I'll get those questions too fed to me. I'm not watching on Periscope. It moves too damn fast, and I'm very old. So we'll get to that. I'll get the first Periscope question out of the way here. Slayton or Mixon in the flex? It's PPR league. He has Taylor and Mike Davis at running back. Wow, I'd be tempted to play Slayton in that one if you already have those guys. My general first law of flexology is feature back over any wide receiver. In this case, I'd be willing to consider it, just given the tough matchup. Also, a little worried. Granted, Joe Mixon played extremely well through a questionable designation last week. It was a chest issue. He turned up on Saturday. We all know what he did against the Jaguars. Also, the Baltimore Ravens aren't the Jaguars. And the Cowboys haven't stopped anyone yet, especially guys on the perimeter, and Slayton plays on the perimeter. The warning here is that Daniel Jones has only thrown 2 touchdowns this year. They were in week 1. The good news, both of them were to Slayton. So, if you're playing for an upside, I think Slayton's more of a swing for the fence play, and I'd be okay with that. Mixon still seems to have a reasonable floor, but you wonder about game script in this one, and with Taylor and Davis in there already, I would co-sign on this with you. Do I start Burrow, Minshew, or pick up Kirk Cousins to stream? I get the Kirk Cousins love in this one. Obviously, great matchup. Everyone has fared well against the Seattle Seahawks. So I get the desire there. I mean, Minshew or Cousins would be fine with me. Texans defense is not very good. If you don't need to pick up Cousins or don't want to pick up Cousins or don't want to drop any, I'd be fine playing Minshew. Mahomes or Wilson at QB. You need to trade one of those quarterbacks, Smiley. I'd be playing Cousins every week, Mahomes every week probably, but I mean, they're both playing at MVP level. I don't know how you expect to pick between those two. So good luck with that. Getting built up here on YouTube, so I'll go grab some of those. Kevin O'Brien, full PPR. Best 2 from Chark, Deontay Johnson, Hollywood Brown, and Jerick McKinnon. We don't know if Raheem Mostert will be back yet. I think McKinnon will continue to have a role. It's a pretty good matchup for him. Chark, the individual matchup for Chark is not great, but I think it's not unbeatable. I'd probably say Chark and Deontay Johnson in this case. Hollywood Brown's questionable. Lamar Jackson's questionable. I think they're going to be playing and be fine, but I don't know that. And since it's a late afternoon kickoff for McKinnon, or at least the Mostert decision, I'd probably maybe just pivot away from that and avoid it. Great plays all, though. Paul, thanks always for doing this, Bob. Sammy Watkins or Debo in the flex? I'd probably go Sammy Watkins with Debo questionable in the late afternoon window. I think he's going to play. But Watkins has been getting pretty serious targets, right? It's been pretty consistent. And the Chiefs have owned the damn Raiders over the course of time, especially with Mahomes. Also, going back to that Mahomes or Wilson question, I mean, great matchups for both guys. Really, you need to figure that out. How many people are in that league? Deontay Johnson or CeeDee Lamb, full PPR. I probably still, slight lean to Deontay Johnson. I know he's got Darius Slay, so, but it's him, Juju, and I think Eric Ebron's establishing a role there with CeeDee Lamb. I mean, there's a lot of mouths to feed. It's a little high upside. Maybe Lamb is still the swing for the bench play there, Rick. I'm just going to probably lean slightly into Johnson just because he's higher up the pecking order. And any given week, it seems like Lamb might be higher up, might be down a little lower. So, hey, Eric, thanks for coming here and appreciate the kind words. Shenault, Higgins, Tim Patrick, and N'Keal Harry needs 2 of those. I'm playing Higgins for sure. It's even in a tough matchup. He seems to have Joe Burrow's attention. Maybe that game script will work in your favor there. Tim Patrick is definitely playable. I'm probably slight lean to him over Shenault. I love Shenault, and he's a great playmaker, and it's a really good matchup, and they use him in creative ways. I'd like to see the role become a little more robust, but it's pretty close between him and Patrick right now. If you're playing for that upside, maybe Shenault has it given the varied role, and there's no quarterback issue there. Brittany Coleman, rest of the season, which quarterback to back up Dak? You have to have 2. Teddy B or Burrow? I'm keeping Burrow. Look, I like what Cousins is doing. That offense seems to be coming together. I just think Burrow is going to have games where he's going to throw it up. And look, Teddy Bridgewater's great too. I just want that Burrow upside, just playing from behind a lot. Grabbing a couple off the Periscope here. Do I play? What are the feelings on Freeman for the Giants? Or I got one before that, before I get to that one. Miles Sanders, Joe Mixon, or Terry McLaurin, DJ Chark, 3 of those. I'm playing Sanders for sure. McLaurin, you've got issues at quarterback. I still think he's a good play. I mean, look, ideally, I'd love to play Joe Mixon. He's not healthy, and it's not a great matchup. I would give you permission to go to DJ Chark on that one. I would not talk you out of Terry McLaurin. We'll just see what the quarterback goes. Issues are. Those guys are basically in the same tier for me, by the way. McLaurin and Chark, as basically wide receiver, high-end wide receiver too. So, we have them ranked about 2 players apart. What are my feelings on Freeman for the Giants? I think he's starting to establish himself. It seems like a little bit of the leader of the committee there. I don't feel strongly about him. I think he's like a flex level play. Do you play any Titans or Bills, or you try to pivot away? I'd love to play Josh Allen. I'd love to play Stephon Diggs. Beyond that, I don't think I need to force anyone in, and you have to be careful. Might be best if you have some players in the Monday night games and take it out as long as you can and see if there are any developments. So, if some of your fallback options are in any of the 2 Monday games, maybe it gives you a little more flexibility to think it through. Herbert from the Chargers or Goff? I really want to play Herbert a lot, and there seems to be injury issues in the Saints backfield. It looks like Marshawn Lattimore will be back, but I don't know about Janoris Jenkins. So I probably I'm probably playing Herbert in this one. It's just been a lot of throwing. Have Alvin Brady in different leagues. Should he trade him? Sure. James Robinson, Mixon, Carson Connor. I'd probably sit Mixon out because he's not healthy. I mean, it's pretty easy. Those are all high-end plays to me, and one of them isn't healthy. So it's a pretty easy call for me. And yes, I'm playing guys for Tuesday night. I'm assuming the game's going to come off. Again, what I mentioned before, if you can wait and give yourself as much flexibility as possible by having Monday fallbacks and wait and see if the testing plays out and there's any issues on Monday, that'd be great. If you have to play Gibson, I mean, that's the safe play, and I think there's a reasonable role there for him. It seems to be growing. But damn it, I'd rather play Henry, right? So this is kind of a you situation. I mean, your risk tolerance comes into play more than what I would do. I don't have to wake up on Wednesday and kick myself in the ass for playing Derrick Henry when that game doesn't come off, right? All right, back to the YouTube questions. Brittany Coleman, no, he needs a flex. Let's see. Hunter Renfrow in place as a flex. Could pick up Brandon Cooks, Golden Tate, Tim Patrick, Zacchaeus, David Moore, Daniel Bird, or Harry's. I mean, look, Henry's been pretty heavily targeted. I think they're going to be throwing the ball a fair amount. I do think Henry Ruggs is coming back, but Brian Edwards won't be. So there's still going to be a role there. I mean, I could play Renfrow. I mean, Cooks has kind of been hit or miss. It's a great matchup for him. Golden Tate, also a great matchup for him, but I like Slayton better in that play. Tim Patrick, I don't think I would do that. Zacchaeus, you're depending on Julio Jones to have a problem. David Moore's not getting enough snaps, so man, don't make such long lists, people. Narrow it down for me. Brittany, question 2 this week. PPR risk Drake or Gibson. Also, would you trade Hollywood for Justin Jefferson? Probably would at this point on the latter. It just seems like Jefferson. Look, going into the season, I thought Jefferson was the rookie best positioned to excel. Just walking into a role, and it's turning out as this offense comes into form, rounds into form, that he is going to be viable. And a lot of this depends on Dalvin Cook remaining as effective as he does, because that opens up the passing attack for Thielen and Jefferson. But I probably would right now. It's just anybody else get a little worried about Lamar Jackson and the Ravens? Not just based on the draft capital we expended, but just the way the offense has been running. It hasn't looked great. It's a long season. I'm not hitting the panic button, people, and you shouldn't either. Mike Williams, J.K. Dobbins, or Dalton Schultz. I play Schultz. J.K. Dobbins is the 50th ranked running back right now, or somewhere below there in terms of production. Mike Williams is questionable at best. I don't have the injury report out, but if he comes off the injury report, I would consider him over Dalton Schultz. Full PPR, 1. Robert Woods, Slayton, Hollywood Brown. Robert Woods is the one. Is Golden Tate a good play against the terrible Cowboys cornerback? Yes. I like Slayton more, but Tate also is a good play. All right, getting back to some of the Periscope questions. Who is a good pivot for Atlanta? I think it's Zacchaeus and Gage are both reasonable, Scott. So, I mean, pick your poison. Pick the one you have if you can get either one. I mean, Gage has a little more established role, but I liked what Zacchaeus did in his absence last week. DJ Chark, DJ Moore, Justin Jefferson needs one. Already played Allen Robinson. Might play Justin Jefferson in this case. Love DJ Moore. Love the matchup against Atlanta. Wonder if Robbie Anderson is a little better play there. Chark, the Bradley Roby matchup is a little tougher. These guys are all in the same tier. So there is no wrong answer here. You just start splitting hairs between the matchup. Jay Mileto, 45. Hello, Jen. Robbie Anderson or Gibson? I'm probably having a hard time not playing Anderson. I do like Gibson. I put an article up on the website. If you don't go to the website, go there now. FootballDiehards.com. If you're not a subscriber, use the FootballDiehards.com/free trial. Take a look around. Find some of this information out for yourself as well. Once you like the site, you can go there and you can order it and use the promo code DieHards to get a 15% discount, and it's great. Gibson, if you go back to what Kyle Allen did during his time in Carolina, obviously he made heavy use of the running back there, a really good receiving running back called Christian McCaffrey. Could he do the same with Gibson? Yes, but Robbie Anderson, that matchup would be hard for me to pass up in this one. Jonathan Taylor, Kelly, or Brown. Probably going with Taylor there. Don't know which Brown you mean, and I'm guessing it's Malcolm, and that would probably be if that's the case, I like the order you have them in. Henry or Schultz. Schultz has the Giants are a little tougher against tight ends than they are other positions. I'm probably playing Henry in this one, but the targets have been great. Josh Kelly, Damian Harris. I would probably order them Kelly, Harris, and Ingram in that order. Getting back to the YouTubers, I'm not forgetting you people. There's just a lot of questions today, and we like that. Need 2 running backs, says Andrea. Running backs and 1 flex. James Robinson in, Miles Sanders in, Jonathan Taylor for me in. If you felt like you needed a home run swing, I would play CeeDee Lamb over one of those guys, but I probably wouldn't do that. I just wouldn't. I'm a feature back. My flex law is pretty good, barring, assuming everyone is healthy. I'm playing the feature backs, guys, running backs with true featured roles in their offenses because they get opportunities, and that doesn't always lead to the best possible outcome, but it gives you the most chances for the best possible outcome. So that's what I'm after there. So if that helps you walk through it, there's not, again, when I'm answering these questions, there's no really wrong answers to what you're saying, right? I mean, there's a range of possible outcomes for all these players, and I'm just trying to talk you through them and help you understand what that is so you can play them. Rick Brusellas, another full PPR, but flex. Russell Gage, Chase Edmonds, or Justin Jackson. I'd probably play Gage in this case. Look, I love Chase Edmonds too. I don't know that he's going to get a ton of work, right? I mean, nobody does. He got some last week. His last time he had a big game, it was against the Jets, right? Was it against the Giants? I guess it was against the Giants. In that stadium, though. And Justin Jackson, I don't know what the role is going to be yet, Rick. Is it going to be, so I'm playing Josh Kelly as if he's going to have the same role that he's had and maybe a little more robust. I could need to see what Justin Jackson has. He is a pretty decent receiver or a reasonably good receiver, so maybe he assumes some degree of the Austin Eckler role. Jay-Z, how you doing? Gordon versus Drake. I'm probably playing Melvin Gordon until we get the Drake conundrum figured out. Look, it hasn't been good, and we'll see. This is a good matchup for him. He should probably do better this week, I would hope. Damian White, PPR flex, McLaurin or Gibson? Wow, that's almost an impossible question to answer. Honestly, you have a new quarterback coming in. You're not really sure, and there it is. Le'Veon Bell officially activated. Not a surprise. I totally expected it. Wrote it up earlier today, but it is now official. Wow, McLaurin or Gibson? It kind of maybe depends on what you want. I think McLaurin is really good, and it's easy to dismiss him with a new quarterback coming in. Kyle Allen isn't afraid to throw it down the field. He's so much better than the other receiving targets there, but I do like the role Gibson's playing. So maybe if you're swinging for the fence, Damian, or you want a higher upside play, maybe it's McLaurin. I mean, I don't know that Gibson is not that, though, right? Because he does get some goal line work. So, if his role was more complete, this would be an easy call. I'm probably leaning Gibson in this one. And again, not a wrong answer, probably. McLaurin, he has a tough matchup again this week, a reasonably tough matchup. I don't think Jalen Ramsey is really going to shadow, right? So I think they can move him around and he's not going to get the full Jalen Ramsey treatment. So there's that. Also, he's done really well against tough matchups this year. So should you start Josh Kelly, says Fernando Castillo, or Hollywood Brown on my flex? Joshua Kelly for me. S. Mazuka, hello. In PPR, need one running back, Joshua Kelly, Devonta Freeman, Ernest Johnson. I'm going with Kelly in that one. I kind of like him in the order you have them. Steve Lindor, hey, Bob. James White, Damian Harris, or Justin Jackson. Pick one, please, in a PPR. I probably like them in the order you have them. Damian Harris is a wild card here. He didn't have a lot of receiving equity in the last game. I don't know that he's going to have that much going forward either. It seems like Burkhead and White are those guys. So I'd go with White probably in a PPR and hope for the good floor. Kevin O'Brien, full PPR, Cup or Boyd. I'm leaning Cup there, sir. Boyd's a really good play. Matchup a little tougher for him. Jeffrey Cooperman, PPR. I need to start two of these three running backs, and do I start all three over Walker at the flex? Walker. Walker is escaping me. Sorry. David Johnson, James Robinson, and Jonathan Taylor. I would start all three of those guys, tell me who Walker is, and I'll figure it out. It's eluding me. Sorry, I have a long list of names in front of me. McLaurin, Deontay, or Debo in a PPR. It's between McLaurin and Deontay. I'd probably, look, I think they both have pretty tough matchups this week. I'm probably going to lean to Deontay Johnson just because I have a little more faith in the quarterback. But it's that close, right? So let me get a couple of Periscope questions. Zeke owner drop Pollard for Akers, right move? I don't know. I mean, Akers has more standalone value as he turns into, if he gets the feature role, which people who follow the team closely expect will happen, just not anytime soon, right? I mean, I know Jordan Rodriguez from The Athletic, who I talked to, thinks it's like about a week 8 on thing. So if you're looking for a play down the stretch who can maybe contribute, maybe Akers is that guy. University Blue, Chark Fuller, or T. Higgins, full PPR. You only need one of those? Man, I desperately want to play Will Fuller this week because I think it's going to be a good game. So slight lean to him over Chark, Bradley, Roby matchup. Maybe, look, you should not play Chark because of this matchup, right? But I'm trying to split hairs here and find a good excuse to put Fuller in. If you don't feel the same, we all know what Fuller's issue is, right? University Blue, it's boom or bust. I wonder if this isn't going to be a boom week. My feeling is it will. Jay Miletto, hello, Jet again. Would you start any of the below players over Slayton? Sure. I mean, not Crowder. Don't know what he's going to do with Joe Flacco. I mean, but I think Deontay Johnson and Boyd are in the conversation. The issue is, Boyd obviously a pretty tough matchup against Baltimore, and Deontay Johnson maybe some Darius Slay treatment. So, I mean, I think you're okay how you have it. It's a great matchup for Slayton. Back to the YouTube. Let's see where I left off. Here we go. Da Pikey. Hi, Da Pikey. Half-point PPR needs 2. Mixon, McKinnon, Kelly, David Johnson, Gibson. I'm going to play David Johnson. The Jaguars' defense is not very good, right? So, and I'm probably going to play Gibson over those other guys. McKinnon, again, Mixon, ideally, even in a tough matchup, I would probably play him every week. He's listed as questionable, and that kind of gives me an excuse not to. If that doesn't give you an excuse not to, go ahead and play him. I liked what he did in the passing attack last week. Maybe they need him some in that regard, if the game script works in the Ravens' favor, which I expect it to, and so does everyone else, because I think they're like a 12-point favorite in that game, 12.5-point favorite. So, and the McKinnon issue, I think he's a fine play still, and I think he'll be fine with Mostert back. I think he's slightly less fine with Mostert back. I don't think his role disappears, so... And I love Josh Kelly, but I just think those other, for right now, Gibson, I think, and David Johnson for me. And just wait to see what the workload is for Kelly. Anyway, I can take the guitar off the wall and play a Van Halen tribute. I could, and it would be incredibly embarrassing for me and not do the justice that Sir Edward deserves. Hi, Dennis Bennett. How you doing, man? Schultz or Cook, assuming he plays. I'm going to play Schultz because he's healthy and he plays on Sunday. It's a little tougher matchup, that I'd like to see, for him. The Giants are not horrible against tight ends, but also he's just been heavily targeted. So I think that's a safe play there, Paul. I'd probably do that. Whitten, 21, Schultz, or risk it with Jonnu. Schultz for me. I don't see the need to risk it. I want to play Jonnu. I think it's going to be a good game for him, and I think the game is going to be played. But I think Schultz is a viable play. So, this is kind of, again, some of these questions are you questions, people. I'll tell you what I would do. And if you want to call me on Wednesday or get on my Twitter and yell at me for making the wrong pick, that's fine. But in the end, you push the button. I mean, that's kind of part of this, is figuring out the range of possible outcomes. The range of possible outcomes for Schultz is he gets heavy coverage and not a lot of targets. 2, he beats the hell out of the coverage and gets the usual targets he's getting. The range of possible outcomes for Jonnu is there is no game. That's one end, right? That's not a great end. I mean, the low end on Schultz is much better than the low end on Jonnu. So if that's not how you see it, play Jonnu. I think he's going to have a great game. Kevin O'Brien, full PPR, Robbie Anderson or Will Fuller. That's not a fair question, Kevin. I love them both way too much. I mean, Robbie Anderson's like a top 20 receiver right now. We rank them 20 and 21 on the site right now. Pick your poison. Maybe a slight lean for me to Robbie Anderson just because I drafted the hell out of him. Funny story, I promised myself I would not draft Robbie Anderson. I didn't want to get guys, with not certain roles going to new teams in the, pandemic time where there's no OTAs. And he was so cheap, I drafted the hell out of him. I took 0% of my own advice, and now I'm very happy I did. A couple Periscope questions. So I'm heavily invested. I'm also heavily invested in Will Fuller. I thought he was a great pick in the 6th round, right? So, hey, I don't envy you that decision. Again, 2 guys literally ranked next to each other. It's hard for me to discern, to give you that kind of granularity. I'm leaning Anderson. There you have it. Would you start any of the below? Okay, it be Murph. Hi, it be Murph. OBJ, Gallup, Chark, Mixon, McKinnon need 2. Oh, I don't think it's as good to be as good as the game for. If Mixon was healthy, look, I'm sitting here and I'm trying to not tell people to play Mixon because I don't think he's healthy. I still think he's going to play, right? It's just a tough matchup and he's not healthy. So all these things. So I feel like I'm coming off as anti-Mixon when I'm actually totally pro-Mixon. It would probably be OBJ and Chark. And I just, you should not expect the same kind of production as you got from OBJ. It's not chasing the production, but maybe this is a thing where you're playing for upside or floor. If you need upside, OBJ. If you need floor, maybe you play Mixon. And either way, I'm playing Chark with him. Again, not anti-McKinnon. I think the role is going to be still there. I just don't know, if Mostert comes back and he's at full go, what my expectation is. He could maybe run away with it a little bit. Herbert or Minshew? Look, I'm going to play Justin Herbert. I mean, really bad, but this matchup, it's pretty hard to get away from. The Houston's defense is really bad. They're really bad against the run, though, too. So maybe there's way more running. So I'm going to play Minshew in this one. I want to get Herbert into lineups, but I'm going to play Minshew. Will Cam Newton play against Denver? How would I know? Let me see if he's listed. The injury report just came out. The game is not till Monday, and they haven't said whether they will. The injury report just now came out. Cam Newton does not appear on the injury report because he's on the reserve COVID list. He could come off at any time. I don't know why you'd take the chance on it if you have another viable option, but I think my feeling is he has a legit chance to play, but you won't know it till Monday. So, and I don't know. I won't know it till Monday. So there's that. So your guess is as good as mine is the correct answer here. All right. Schultz, Anderson, Fuller. Need a defense. Hello, S. Mazuka, again. Cleveland, who could be sneaky, New Orleans or Buffalo. I'll probably play Buffalo just because the lack of weaponry, they're kind of diminished there for the Titans. I know it could just be a Derrick Henry day and they just hammer them. And maybe that gives a tough thing. And then also maybe the game isn't played. So, I don't know if I want to go Cleveland against Colts, but I think that's probably the better play. All right, John Ortiz, flex, standard, Boyd, Damian Harris, Judy. I'd probably, even in a tough matchup, I'd probably lean Boyd on this one. I have no problem with Damian Harris. I think the workload is going to be okay. Judy, I think you're taking your chances a little bit. We don't know what the quarterback play is going to be like, although he did fine with Brett Rypien, didn't he? If somebody would have covered him, that defender should have been covering on the touchdown. The Dalvin Cook owner has offered you Traquan Smith for Alexander Madison. He also has Crowder or D. Swift. I am running back too needy. Yeah, Dalvin Cook looks really good. I mean, if you were really needy, I'd maybe make the play for Swift and hope he continues to have that receiving equity. I think Traquan Smith is fine as well. I just think we're buying a little high on him, and we don't know exactly what he's going to be when Michael Thomas comes back. I will say I think he's established. He's got the confidence of Drew Brees now, and maybe that's worth something as well. Brad Stewart, full PPR, D2, Devontae Parker, Deontay Johnson, CD Gallup. Devontae for sure. Devontae and Deontay for me. Look, I have no problem with CD or Gallup. I just think the problem is they're both there. And yeah, I just think any given week, one could not show up as much as the other. So like them both. I just think these other options are better. All right, Evolve to Fit. Hello, Alec. Am I really crazy to think Deontay Johnson will be top 7 wide receiver the rest of the way? I don't know if you're crazy. I mean, I'm sure that's well within the range of possible outcomes. The Steelers like to throw the ball. He seems to be one of Ben's top targets. So not crazy. I don't know that I'd expect that high an outcome. Steve Linder, one flex from Chark, Justin Jefferson, Crowder, or Damian Harris. Again, this maybe depends on what you want. If you just want a high floor play, maybe it's, just one guy that's not going to give you a 0. Maybe it's Damian Harris, assuming it's, maybe if you're not in it's PPR, it's half-point PPR. I'm going to probably go Justin Jefferson in this case. I got you, Eric. Sorry, PPR. Do I start David Johnson, James Robinson, Jonathan Taylor over Darren Waller? That's why I couldn't figure it out. No worries, man. Wow. I'm still playing all the running backs. If I had to sit one out to play Waller, if you were really determined, it would probably be right now Taylor. I'm probably not doing that, but I could see why you would, and it gives you a little flexibility. Waller's going to continue to be heavily targeted. I'll just remind you, not every game does that work out, right? I think it was just a couple weeks ago where he was not the primary guy. Need a PPR flex. Darius Slayton, Devonta Freeman, T. Higgins, or Ernest Johnson. My favorite, and you're welcome for my time. Darius Slayton is my favorite here. It's a swing for the fence play. Again, if you weren't here when I mentioned it before, Daniel Jones has only thrown 2 touchdowns. He threw them in week 1. They were both to Slayton. This matchup is great. I think the touchdown correction comes. I'm hoping for both of those fellows. Dennis Bennett, Jonathan Taylor, CEH, David Johnson, sit 1 is Taylor. Hate it when you make me make the tough calls, Dennis. Brad Stewart needs 2. OBJ, Deontay Johnson, McLaurin. I'm going to go. I don't know which Johnson that is, Brad. It would make a difference, probably. Oh, it's Deontay Johnson. I see the first name now. I was hoping it was David Johnson. It would be an easy call, right? I'm going to go OBJ and Deontay Johnson in this one. Look, I got no problem with McLaurin. The hair splitter there for me, and we're splitting hairs here, people. Just keep that in mind. Again, there are no wrong answers here, right? we're all trying to, come up with reasons and arguments to make the plays we want to play. I could make an argument for every single player you're asking about, pro and con, right? So I'm trying to do that to help you think it through. So, and the con on McLaurin is there's a change. There's a different quarterback. Could Kyle Allen be amazing? Yes. Could Kyle Allen be horrible? Also, yes. We've seen both those Kyle Allens. Pretty sure, and you could say the same about OBJ, right? We've seen the not great OBJ and we've seen the amazing OBJ. So there's that. All right, Kevin O'Brien. Full PPR, Kelly, Jackson, or Edmonds. I'm going to go Kelly in that one. And I would probably rank them Kelly, Edmonds, and Jackson. I'm going to hit a couple of the Periscope questions here. I'll be right back, Skypers. 1/2 point, AJ Green. 1/2 point, AJ Green, Tre'Quan Smith, or Randall Cobb. I would play either of those guys right now over AJ Green, probably in the order you list them. I was offered a trade. I get Jay Robinson and Diggs for OBJ and Mixon. I might do that trade. Good work, John Nam. Is A.J. Brown a go? We don't know yet. I think he's listed. They have not released the injury. The Patriots have released theirs. The Bills have released theirs. The Titans have not released theirs yet. I'm guessing he's questionable at best. And maybe they rule him out. I don't know. So I don't know yet is the shorter answer to that question. Probably the better answer, too. Steve Lyon 1 on Periscope. 2-point PPR 12 team, but running backs get 3 points. I plan on starting Dalvin Cook. Okay. Okay, that's great. Not sure if that's a question. Woods or Kelly? I'm probably playing Robert Woods until I figure out what Kelly is. Michael Thomas to go? We don't know yet. Haven't had the injury report. Has not been released. My guess is yes, but don't know. He's been limited. Like the last 3 weeks, he's been limited, and it kind of seems more of an issue. He's moving well. They just want to make sure he can protect himself after the last 2 weeks. I'm guessing he will, but again, only a guess. All right, back to the YouTubers. Dennis Bennett, I got you. I got that one. Kevin O'Brien, I got that one. Rick, last one. Randall Cobb or Cole Beasley. I'm probably going Randall Cobb in that one. Wouldn't talk you out of Beasley. It's just a Tuesday night thing, and why put yourself in the crosshairs of that when you don't have to. Rick, it's full PPR. Okay, good enough. CJ Chris, you retracted your message. I'm sorry to see that. Willie, full PPR, need one of the following for flex: T. Higgins, Mostert, Slayton, or Antonio Gibson. So the swing for the Pence play here is Slayton. The high floor to me is Antonio Gibson. I know you could argue T. Higgins is a swing for the fence guy, and most weeks I would make that argument with you. Maybe even better than Slayton because they throw more touchdowns in Cincinnati than they do for the New York Giants. But it's matchups this week, right? And Mostert, I mean, look, if I knew he was fully healthy and going to have his full role against the Miami Dolphins, this would be an easy call for him as well. He's questionable. It's a late afternoon kickoff, and the reporting up to this point has been it's going to be decided not until game time. So there you have that one. Maybe we'll hear something different. You might want to watch the website. By the way, if you're not familiar with it, there's a website called footballdiehards.com you can go to. Go to footballdiehards.com/free trial. A lot of this information is there and available to you at your own leisure, including overnight. I follow all the insiders and collate all that information and give you their best guesses of whether guys are going to play or not in the wee hours of Sunday. So when you get up Sunday morning, you go check the site and you'll find that out. All right. Kevin O'Brien, full PPR, deep league. Cole Beasley, Keelan Cole, or Tre'Quan Smith. Probably in reverse order, right? Tre'Quan Smith, Cole, and Beasley. Again, just the Tuesday night thing. I think Beasley would rank up higher in the PPR league for me. And he's off the injury report, so it's not that. It's just, am I 100% sure the game's going to be played? There's a lot can happen between now and Tuesday because of the COVID. So there's that. All right, Andrea. Mixon or Josh Kelly, half-point PPR, worrying about Mixon being hurt. I'm worried about it too. I don't know if I'm Josh Kelly worried about it, but I think it's not an unreasonable pivot. If that's your concern, look, it's not just the injury. It's because he played well through an injury last week, right? Again, I'll remind you, he was questionable. Woke up Saturday with chest pain. They x-rayed him. He was listed as questionable. Said it hurt really bad on Saturday. He went out and kicked the K-Pock out of the Jaguars, which is not that big a deal. By the way, if you noticed, my colleague on Sirius, Mike Dempsey, will tell you he follows covers the Jaguars on a local radio station there, that a lot of Mixon's damage was done after Myles Jack left the game. And Myles Jack was taking care of business right up at that point. So there's an interesting little side note. So if you're worried, I think Kelly's a reasonable play, and it's a tough matchup. Again, the Baltimore Ravens are good at the defense. Graham F., hi again to you, and thanks, and you're welcome, and thank you for coming. Would I drop Hunter Renfrow to pick up Tim Patrick or Russell Gage or Olamide Zaccheaus? And how much longer would you hold on to A.J. Green? I'm holding on to A.J. Green. Look, the draft capital expended on him for me wasn't that great. It was 6th, 7th round for the most part. I'm probably holding on to him if I got roster room. If you're in a pinch, I mean, I think you could drop him now, right? Would I drop Hunter Renfrow? I think Hunter Renfrow's targets, I'd have to go in and dig into the targets, and that's what you should do. Go to footballdiehards.com. If you're not a subscriber, go to free trial. Go to our targets page and resource tab and look at target percentages and compare. My feeling is Renfrow has a pretty solid role. Tim Patrick's been great. I wonder, my concern is the quarterback is going to be, is the quarterback play going to be solid enough with the choice between Locke and Rypien seems a little less certain. I thought it was fine with Rypien, though. I think it would be fine with Locke. So I'm slowly talking myself into Patrick because I think Gage or Zaccheaus kind of depend a little bit on Julio Jones and how healthy he is. I don't think he's that healthy, but I don't know for sure. And maybe he gets ruled out. Maybe he gets ruled out in advance of the game. Maybe he gets ruled out today. That would be great. Then I would probably do them Zaccheaus and Gage in that order ahead of Patrick. But as things stand now, it would be Patrick over them if I felt like I wanted to move on from Renfrow. Terry Roberts, half-point PPR. Mark Ingram, Renfrow, Emmanuel Sanders. Might go Sanders in that one. I think the role has kind of been established. Here's the thing. If you go into the footballdiehards.com player performance rankings where, go to the year-to-date on the running backs, I mean, Ingram is running back 40-something. Right, and that's only because he has touchdowns. And if he doesn't get a touchdown, he doesn't give you anything. None of those running backs do. It's hard for me to play them, given that. Lucy in the Sky, hi. Should I risk starting A.J. Brown this week? I have John Brown as a backup just in case. If that's the case, yeah. I mean, your only concern then is, does the game come off as planned? As I sit here now, I think it's going to. Also, as I sit here now, I realize that, man, it's a weird world. Anything could happen. A positive test could come up at any time. I'm almost wanting to play the bird in the hand. So if you have a really good play or a reasonable play, and by the way, John Brown is questionable too. So that adds a layer. I think John Brown's going to play. He practiced the last 2 days, but so I might try to avoid the situation altogether. I'm still waiting for the Titans injury report. Let me see if it's come out since we've been talking. So Noah Fant is out. Locke is questionable. So no, that has not come out yet, but the Denver injury report is coming out. So we're finding out a little bit. Let me get a couple Periscope questions here. Why won't Matt Breida get any playing time? It's almost almost out of the league. Matt Breida is apparently not getting playing time because he's not as good as Myles Gaskin, who is getting all the playing time, like 70+% of the snap share, right? So it's a problem. So, yes, I'm probably ready to let the ship sail on that guy. For now, I mean, look, it's a long season, people. There's going to be a running back that comes out of nowhere to win somebody a title, and Matt Breida is as possible as any of them because he's currently on a team, and we don't know what injuries and attrition will do. But if things stay as they are now, Clyde Allen, Breida's bottom of the – well, not bottom of the totem pole. He's getting more work than Jordan Howard, but he's not getting the quality work. Darrell Henderson or Mark Ingram for the flex. Darrell Henderson for me. Okay, thank you for that update on A.J. Brown practicing in full. We'll see if he gets the questionable designation. It's been like, a week off, 2 weeks off before that. The bone bruise, they said, I think the last we heard was not responding well, but it's been like 2 weeks since we heard that, so seems entirely possible we'll play. If that's the case, we'll see what the injury report says. And you're still dealing with the Tuesday game situation, so we'll see what goes on. Jay Miletto, thoughts on T.Y. Hilton rest of the season? They're not positive. Because he's not good, man. He's wide receiver, Denny's wide receiver 40-something, I believe, or maybe even lower. It's just not working, man. The depth of target's not great. The target share is not great. They seem to be going more through the tight end and Jonathan Taylor. So, I mean, I'm not, ready to dump him, but he's on the verge. All right. Jeffrey Cooperman, thanks for the help. Do you think Jonathan Taylor will have a decent week? I do. I think he's imminently playable. I just like the workload. It's not the easiest matchup, nor is it the toughest. So hoping he can gain a little momentum. Dalvin Cook, JT, Josh Jacobs, and James Conner, set one. JT, please put names in, people. I'm looking at a lot of questions. Eric, if you were 4-0, so I'm going to throw out the JT and I'll answer this, Chris. I play Cook. I mean, how are you not playing Cook? JT, I don't know who the hell it is. At this point, I'm sitting probably Jacobs as it stands now until I know who JT is. If I was 4-0, would you give up Cooper for Michael Thomas? Other wide receivers are Chark, Watkins, Deontay Johnson, and 2 PPR. Yeah, I probably would. And I'm hoping Thomas gets healthy, and I'm hoping Drew Brees gets better when he does, and Drew Brees will be fine. You've answered this question already, but your feelings on Lev Bell tomorrow moving forward. I don't like it's a lousy offense. I mean, that's my only problem. I think Lev Bell is going to have a significant workload in a lousy offense and be very similar to what he was before. And I think that's not totally un-okay, right? I mean, it depends on what your roster construction is and what your needs are. And they just don't score a lot of points, the Jets, and he suffers from that. But I do think, the workload will be sufficient that you have a reasonably Jonathan Taylor. That seems possible. Okay, so let me go back to that question. Sorry, guys, I'm just looking at a lot of names and moving really fast, and it's just like JT. I don't know who the hell that is. So Cook. So I'd probably sit Taylor out of that group. Chris. So there you have it. And thank you, JJ Johns. I appreciate that. If both Mostert and okay, last point. I'm sorry, I missed some. Let me go back up. I hope that answered your question, Brad. Like the dog squirrel. I see something and I move on. Need 2 DJ Chark, Rusty B1590 needs 2 Chark, Slayton, or OBJ. Probably. It might depend a little bit on when you want. I really want to play Slayton really bad. I think Chark would be a fine play. I play OBJ and Slayton. And again, I think they're all right in that same tier. So I'd go in that order. And I think, again, so I think the Jaguars are going to have a good game. I think they're going to run the ball well. I think Chark is capable of beating really strong matchups. Of those matchups, his might be, OBJ's might be the toughest, right? I mean, the Colts defense is playing extremely well. So that's the decision there. Slayton, I want to play for sure because of the matchup. It's kind of between OBJ and Chark. If you want a big play threat, maybe it's OBJ. So I'm just getting this. A.J. Brown is officially questionable for Tuesday. Good sign that he practiced fully, though. So my guess is he's trending towards playing. That seems like a reasonable assumption. All right. Another PPR, another full PPR flex, Tim Patrick or Justin Jackson or Mark Ingram. In a full PPR, I'd be fine playing Patrick. If you think Mark Ingram is going to play a touchdown, go ahead and play him. Justin Jackson, you can take a wait-and-see approach and see what the role is going to be. It's his first real week of getting a chance. The Pikey, a half point, Hunter Henry or Evan Ingram. I like Ingram a little bit this week. I think the target share has been great, and I'd probably still play Henry over him. Just going to check some numbers for you just to make sure I'm not saying something completely crazy that I don't want to say. Yeah, I'm going to lean Henry on that one. All right, Kevin O'Brien. Both Mostert and McKinnon play. Better to have one as RB2, the other as a flex over late decision on Michael Thomas or Jay Brown. Yeah, I'd probably do that. That's a good approach, Kevin. I think, it gives you the most flexibility until as late in the day as possible, right? I think that's the smart way to do this in this weird new world we live in, where there's that level of uncertainty. You give yourself the maximum amount of flexibility, and that would do that with both those guys. Willie, full PPR flex, need 1, Slayton, Gesicki, Gallup, Gaskin, or Damien. God. Gesicki's out. I'm probably just going to play Slayton because of the matchup. Gesicki's not been playing well. Gallup is going to be hit or miss. Gaskin's had a solid role, but not huge production. And Damian Harris, I think in a PPR doesn't give you a ton of upside, right, in a PPR. And I play Taylor over Gaskin and Harris easily. Lucy in the Sky. Okay, pick 2, half point PPR. Got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to probably play Gallup and Ruggs, assuming Ruggs is active and it seems like he's heading that way. And just avoid the A.J. Brown, just avoid the Tuesday thing. That'd be me. I mean, I think they both have some upside. As we were told here on the Periscope, I mean, Brown worked fully today, despite the questionable designation. Like a lot of guys who end up questionable work fully. I'm looking at the work fully part of this. That's a really good sign. I mean, so, and no worries, JJ. Once I figured it out, or CJ, once I figured it out, it's just hard for me to keep up. But yeah, I think that's the way to go, Lucy, is to avoid the Tuesday. I mean, there's upside there. There's great risk. So that's kind of a you decision there. Eric, last one, Odell or versus Justin Jefferson. I mean, given the matchup, it'd be crazy not to play Justin Jefferson in this game. Sorry, not crazy, but I mean, it's hard not to play him. Everyone who plays the Seahawks fares pretty well. And he's on a bit of a roll, too. Not that I don't like Odell, but the Colts defense is for real. Which running back has a better year going forward, Akers or Swift? I would say probably Swift because, I think his role is a little more definable, at least early on, as a receiving threat. I think Akers is going to be a little more hit or miss, just based on the way the team is structured. Look, if either of them come on and start dominating, that's going to be a difference maker. You can't tell what their output's going to be. But as the situation stand now, I think Swift's situation is slightly better. Robbie Anderson, Julian Edelman, full point PPR. I'm not going away from Robbie Anderson in this one. And I don't know who the quarterback. I think it's going to be Jarrett. It seems likely to be Jarrett Stidham. And I thought he was okay. Also, Julian Edelman needs to pay more attention when passes are coming his way. But Robbie Anderson is my answer. All right. Back to the YouTubes. And again, CJ, no need to apologize, man. I'm just trying to go fast and get as many questions as I can. Jeffrey Cooperman, Henderson, Madison, Latavius Murray. Probably Henderson, Murray, and Madison in that order. And man, that's a tough one. Not bold enough to start. I'm not bold enough to start Wentz. I've got Kirk Cousins on my bench with my opponent starting Thielen in the rain or D. Jones. Wow. I mean, it's a pretty tough matchup for Wentz. I would probably go with Cousins in this one, just given the Seattle matchup. So Wentz has been running the ball well, though. You've got that to hang your hat on. Once again, without Deshaun Jackson, you're counting on guys like Greg Ward, John Hightower, and practice squad players. Although they've fared reasonably well to get the job done for you, I'd probably lean to the guy with Adam Thielen and Dalvin Cook and Justin Jefferson and Kyle Rudolph. It's the guys I trust that he's throwing to. If Mostert plays, would I play Kelly over McKinnon? Yeah, I think I would. I think I might be outsmarting myself. McKinnon's an interesting guy to me, Pedro and everybody else. I feel like, they paid him a hell of a lot of money to show up. I think they've got a plan for him. I think his role will be significant or substantial enough going forward to make him a viable flex play. But Mostert clearly in the lead there. And I apologize for all my Mostert slander this summer. I did not love him as I thought he was. I thought the 5th round price. I didn't get a lot of him, and I feel like I wish I would have. So apologies to you, Raheem Mostert, who I've spoken to. He's a very nice man. Loves the surfing. Currently, Jeffrey Cooperman has MVS on his bench. Is he the best stash, or should I drop and pick up one of these other guys? Mike Williams, Harry, Brandon Cooks, Ruggs, Tim Patrick. I would consider Ruggs just based on the depth chart. I would consider Williams. MVS, once everyone's healthy and back, is going to fall down the line a little bit. And even when he's like at the top of the depth chart, he's not always the best guy there, says Robert Tonyan. And Robert Tonyan doesn't even play wideout, right? So I would rather have Ruggs or Mike Williams, I think. I mean, Tim Patrick, I think, is serviceable. I don't think there's high end there. I think there's, just a better offense. I'd probably rather have MVS there, because this just in. Aaron Rodgers playing extremely well. He's really good at the football. Yikes, says Rick. One more. Edelman or Damian Harris, full PPR. Thanks for sharing my thoughts. Probably getting a PPR, going to lean to Edelman on that one. I thought Damian Harrison was great. Loved the 17 carries last week. Hope he gets that many this week. Don't know that he will. Don't know that it's going to be a Rex Burkhead week. Don't know it's going to be a James White week. I do know that Julian Edelman's role is pretty consistent in a PPR. I wish he would catch all the footballs they throw. McKinnon over Drake, PPR. Okay, Jay-Z, you're asking me tough questions because I think you're doing it on purpose because it's a tough question. Damn. McKenna, so I think Drake, the workload's been fine. I think he's going to happen at some point. If he's going to happen, what could it be against the Jets? Seems likely. Also, could he fail miserably? Yes. And Chase Edmonds is a reasonably good option for them, it turns out. So I'm probably playing Drake in this one, giving him one more chance, and hoping Mostert doesn't come back. Or Mostert does come back and limits McKinnon for you. But it's a tough call, Jay-Z. I think McKinnon is going to have a nice role or continue to have a decent role even with Mostert back. So, and I think, we've seen the touchdown capabilities he has. Great in the receiving game. So, I just think Drake is the top option. He might lose that, and it has not been all that great. I still want to play that right now. Steve Drakes, do I flex Gallup, Debo, Jonnu Smith, or Justin Jackson? Debo is questionable in the late afternoon window. Jonnu Smith in a Tuesday game. I mean, I'd love to do Jonnu Smith if you think that game is going to go off and there will be no more positive tests. Go ahead. Interesting, the 49ers just called up Kevin White from the practice squad. Debo is questionable. I don't want to read too much into it. He's got a non-COVID illness. Seemed like he was going to play. Wonder if this is a concern. So I don't know about that. I may be taking that too far. I think, for me, Gallup is the safe play here. I think Jonnu is the desired play for me. Your risk tolerance level is going to determine how you handle that, Stephen Drakes. Pedro, is the Colts defense for real? It is. It definitely is. I mean, this isn't just this year. This goes back to last year, right? They're great against running backs. They've got some better cornerback play this year. And the funny thing is the depth they've shown. They've had injury issues and still succeeded through that. So, yeah, I think they're for real, man. Kevin O'Brien, current PPR flex is Marquise Brown. If he is healthy, would you play Josh Kelly or D. Schultz instead? So I probably would play Kelly instead. I mean, to me, Brown is more of a big play kind of threat, and he's going to have huge games. And we've also seen games where he doesn't show up much at all. I think Kelly, without Austin Eckler, I want to play that this week over him. So that's where I'm at. Brad Stewart has been offered McCaffrey and Big Ben for Mahomes and Antonio Gibson. I'm probably going to stand pat. I mean, I'd love to get McCaffrey, and I think he's going to be fine when he comes back, right? But I also want to keep Mahomes. You already have Zeke. I think you're in good shape there. I mean, it's not an unfair trade. It doesn't seem like, but I don't want to do it. All right, going and getting a couple of the Periscope questions. Who will be taking up the Eckler targets, Hunter Henry or the backs? Justin Jackson is kind of a capable enough receiver, but I don't know that he gets all those targets. And honestly, Justin Herbert's throwing down the field more. Probably Keenan Allen, right? He'll get like 30 a game now. In all seriousness. So I think it'll be split up more. I would think Henry gets his fair share, though, and Mike Williams, when he comes back, will get his fair share. And whichever unknown guy that none of us have on our rosters will get their fair share. I mean, I just think the kid's going to be slinging it. Maybe the running backs aren't the best guys in this offense in terms of receiving anymore. Maybe that was more a Phillip Rivers thing and a check down kind of thing. All right, back to the YouTube. Willie, PPR Flex, Antonio Gibson over Odell Beckham. Yes, given the matchups. Lucy in the Sky, half point, Higgins, Gallup, or Gage. I'd probably go Gallup and then Higgins, then Gage. T. Higgins, Michael Gallup, or Russell Gage. Also, those guys I could figure out. Thank you, though, Lucy. I appreciate it. Kevin O'Brien, Marquise Brown, flexes Hollywood Brown. Oh, Malcolm Brown. Oh, Hollywood Brown. Okay. Yeah, I think I was counting on that. I think that's how I had it figured out, Kevin, if I'm not mistaken. That's how I was seeing it. Yeah, that's how I was seeing it. So I had the right guy, but it could have been Malcolm, right? So help me out on these. Willie, full PPR. Choose one. Shenault, Edmonds, Kelly, Gordon, or Dalton Schultz. Kelly or Melvin Gordon, please, even with Philip Lindsay back. Kevin O'Brien, if Mostert is healthy, would you play him over Jonathan Taylor as an RB2? Well, you're going to have to decide that. Is it a late afternoon kickoff for the... I should know this off the top of my head, and I probably do, except I'm trying to go too fast. So, yeah, they're both late afternoon games. That's an interesting question. Probably still playing Jonathan Taylor. I know it's a great matchup, but I mean, if Mostert is back, first game back, do they push him back to full role? I mean, maybe yes. Also, maybe no. I don't know. I know Taylor's role is going to be pretty solid. All right, let's just make sure no other information came in here that seems to be of interest to us. We're going to wrap it up here in a few minutes. Keep the questions coming, though. I will answer as many as I can. Jalen Ramsey gets fined. A.J. Brown, questionable. Jets activate Le'Veon Bell. We knew that was coming. Julian Edelman, questionable, but he's going to play. Julian Edelman's questionable is not like everyone else is questionable, as most of you know. All right, Lucy, does Football Diehards have an email newsletter? Yes, we send out multiple emails each week based on the information on the site. Go to the site, go to footballdiehards.com/free trial. Check it out. If you want to sign up, use the promo code Diehards, get a 15% discount. It's not unreasonably priced. And I think you can also sign up. Email, can we sign up for the free newsletter? Is there a version of that? I think there is. But I think the subscribers get better. Sorry, that's how it works, Lucy. Pedro. Yes, there is a free version. So, Lucy, go to the site and sign up, and you will get a newsletter that we send out via email with some good information still. But sign up. You'll like it. Pedro just dropped Russell Gage for Olamide. I mean, Zacchaeus, I mean, it seems 6 of one, half does the other, although Russell Gage is the guy who has a role when everybody else is healthy, right? So you're kind of playing – Zacchaeus is doing a little better right now because – he's an outside guy. Gage's slot role doesn't seem to change much, right? So when Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley are both healthy, I don't think you'll see as much Zacchaeus as you are now. Let's see. Who will be taking? Okay, so we got those. Robert Woods or Ayuk. Robert Woods for me. Thank you. That was CJ too. So a few more minutes. Again, just injury reports coming in. And as Scott Kobe, I think it is, mentioned on the Periscope, the questionable designation for A.J. Brown, not calling it misleading. He was obviously limited in previous workouts. And that's the thing. Sometimes these teams go by the letter of the law, right? And some of them play it more loosey-goosey. Teams like the Patriots, if you have any limited work, you're going to be listed as questionable, even if you work fully. The Ravens, we saw it with, we see it all the time with Marquise Brown, with Mark Andrews. We saw it this week with Lamar Jackson. He worked fully. John Harbaugh said he's 100% or good to go. Lamar Jackson said, I'm 100%, I'm good to go, yet he's still questionable. So there's a little bit of, gradation of each team's questionables. So another fun thing we all get to deal with. All right, let's see what else. I don't see any other breaking news of interest here that would be shocking or change any of the answers I had. Thanks for coming, Kevin. I appreciate that. Appreciate all you coming. Hit the subscribe button on the YouTube channel so you can come back, get notifications for when we're going live. I do this every Saturday, 4 p.m. Eastern time. Spend about an hour, try to answer as many questions as I can. Sometimes I go way too fast like I did today and give you all the wrong answers. So I hope that's not the case. I hope you have all the right answers. And again, on so many of these questions, there are no wrong answers because we have ranges of possible outcomes for all these players. So I try to talk you through those more than give you like an answer, because really the answer is yours. It's your team. You're the boss of that. I have another question from the Periscope. Rogers JG2, play Justin Jefferson. I'm probably this week, yeah. Given the matchup, I wouldn't talk you out of that. I think in general, McLaurin would be, for me, the guy that I would play over him right now. But there's a little variation there, right? We've got some differences, and we've got a new thing, and Jalen Ramsey's involved, and a new quarterback's involved, and maybe I take a wait-and-see approach because I know Justin Jefferson has a fantastic matchup. So there's that one. All right. Got time for a few more. If you have them, then I got to go write some news updates for the Football Diehards website. Go there, footballdiehards.com/free trial. We have tons of great stuff there, even as we speak beyond the late breaking update section where you have news, notes, and information throughout. The rankings, especially the staff rankings, where each and every player is ranked to any of the any updates of interest, you can find all in like one concise place. You look at a player's name, the latest information, you click the update, and there it is. Also, tons of video content, audio content, the Football Diehards podcast, Kyle Dvorchak, John Lobb, myself, Jen Ryan, Justin Lanero, Brad Cruz, Evan Tarciano, Matthew Sharon, all doing a great job along with our fearless leader, Emil Kadlik, who has been feeding me the Periscope questions and just fed me another one that I will answer now before I answer this great question by Rick Brusellas. Sad San Diego fan, Drake or DJM? DJ Moore, I guess. Man, you got to help me out with these people. I play Drake. I'd probably playing Drake just for the workload, but it's DJ Moore. It's against the Atlanta Falcons. I'm not going to talk you out of that if that's your leaning. I like Robbie Anderson like slightly more than Moore, but I don't dislike Moore. So if you're worried about Drake and you feel like you haven't given enough and you want to give it a week, Moore is a perfectly fine play. Play Cleveland's running back over Titans Smith. I would rather play Jonnu Smith. I also realize that Tuesday night is a questionable thing. So again, Roger, that's going to be kind of on you to decide if you have the risk tolerance to deal with the possibility of a game being canceled out of the clear blue. I'm not saying it will be. I don't know that it will be. I just know that the positive tests have been an issue for the Titans. So, that's within the range of possible outcomes. Also, within the range is Jonnu Smith having a great game because he's one of the limited options they have remaining. So I would much rather play him than D'Ernest Johnson. I would. There's no doubt about it. So if that helps you. Non-football. The two guitars, there's one left-handed. No, one is a Jackson Dinky, which has an upside-down stock, so it looks left-handed, but it's not. And the other one is a Yamaha Strat with a Floyd Rose tremolo, which has never been out of tune in like 20 years of ownership. It's amazing. Let's see. And the Jackson, not so good at staying in tune. All right, Rick. Okay. Have Rager on IR. Is it worth to hold on to with the hope of a breakout when he is back after week 8 bye? Yes, if you don't need to make a move. And one last football, start Mostert over Joshua Kelly. I'm probably look if Mostert's active. I think you could make a pretty good argument for that. I want to play Joshua Kelly because I'm heavily invested. So I don't want to give you my answer because I think Mostert would be a smart play. The concern, Rick, is what I've stated a couple times is, do you expect Mostert to come back to that full role, right? Do you expect him to come in and, and just take over that true feature role? Will Jerick McKinnon cut into it enough to make it an issue? Will they ease him back in like they did with Deebo Samuel last week? These are questions that will not be decided until in the game. I think Joshua Kelly's role seems a little more certain to me, right? Because he had one before Austin Eckler was hurt. Justin Jackson did not, so that's where I'm leaning. Is Dak Prescott worth the money he asked for? I don't know if he is or not, but he's going to make it, whether he is or not. It's the market, man. And they're going to have to pay it. I mean, it's not going to be $500 million of Patrick Mahomes money, but it's going to be damn good money. What's the favorite song to play? I started learning acoustic. Probably the first song I learned to play was Crazy Train by Ozzy. So if I pick up a guitar, that's probably automatically the first thing I start playing. All right, everybody. That's it for week 5. I appreciate you coming. Hit the subscribe button on the YouTube. Periscope people, come to YouTube. Hit the subscribe button. Join us there. I love seeing your comments in the chats. I love everyone's comments, both football and non-football. I wish you the best of luck in week 5. I'm hoping for positive outcomes for everybody, including the NFL games. The Tuesday nighter especially, hoping that comes to fruition. A lot of players that we all want to play in that one. And I hope those of us with the intestinal fortitude, which is a nice way of saying something else, get paid off for our risk. Thanks again, everybody. We'll see you next week. Tune in tomorrow on the YouTube channel. The Prop Till You Drop with Jed Ryan and Emil Kadlik will be on. Don't have the exact time on that, but check early in the morning on the main page of the website. And also the pregame video with Emil Kadlik and Jason Brady will be on. You listen to SiriusXM's Fantasy Sports Radio. Tomorrow morning, I'll be on the pregame show with Jeff Mans. If you're listening tonight, I'm on SiriusXM NFL Radio and the Fantasy Channel at the same time with Mike Dempsey. Football Die Hard show, 3 hours, 8 to 11. We'll take more calls there. If you have more questions, call us. We'll talk to you. Casey Joyner, the football scientist, will join us as well. See you next week. Bye.